Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice right here that the ES threw off a rejection tail in the previous session. A pretty significant tail there overall, dropping after reaching 2750. Reached a high of 2750, and by the end of the day had closed back below 2650. The midpoint of the previous session here was nearly hit today, that midpoint being 86.75. Today's high is 80.5. And so again, whenever you see a rejection like this at or above resistance here, the next day can be a digestive day where you see price stay mainly below the midpoint of this previous session, and if price starts to break through two-day lows, we could have a significant sell-off that could come over the course of 1 to 3 days, right? It could be a one-day move back to 2,500. It could be a two-day move that brings you back to recent support here at 24.75. Or this thing could finally pick up some steam and come retest the lows over the course of the next week to 2 weeks. So again, we'll see how that plays out. Now, where this theory is wrong is if price closes above this level right there. So that 26.85, 26.87, that zone right there, if price closes above that zone today, then we are likely squeezing another leg higher. So again, that's going to be the key level to continue to watch today. A failure through two-day lows here opens up a return back to the previous week's close, previous month's close, and then perhaps the previous lows here of the range. Again, we still have that 8-day, 9-day trading range. Tried to break out yesterday and failed, and when that happens, you typically go to the other side of the range. So got to continue to watch the 26.20 zone. A break through that area will open up that downside. All right, let's take a look now at the NQ here. Looking at the NQ, you'll see a very similar rejection the previous session. This one hit the midpoint of the rejection day, so you'll see the midpoint here is 25s, and today's high is 81.43, and the midpoint here is 25. So it got a little bit beyond it there, and then came right back down. But that's a perfect midpoint retest, and we had a great rejection tail here. You can see it's happening right at this 8,000 level here, and price is sitting there. So again, a digestive day here today after a rejection, a potential rejection day yesterday. So same rules apply. A breakthrough two-day lows opens up a return back as low as recent support here, 73.76. And if price closes above this midpoint from the previous session's rejection day, that would suggest a push through those highs, so you get another squeeze coming. So that midpoint, very, very important today. Call it 81.40. That's today's high, 81.50, right in that zone, right? To close beyond that zone would suggest much more strength ahead. But right now, looking as though as we could begin to see a breakthrough two-day lows that would take you through 79.50. All right, let's take a look now at crude oil. Crude oil is up 3.25% right now, but could be due for another leg lower. We've been looking at this key range right here and how price has been trading off the key range. And just to highlight the levels again, you have the top of the key range, the bottom of the key range is down here, and then you have the midpoint of that key range, which is right there. And so when you look at it, again, you look to fade the edges back up, you look to fade the edges back down. Right now we are on our way back down. You can see here, this is something very important right here. You see this previous low was taken offered yesterday, and price had a stop run day through it, and then now price has come back to that level and has been rejected. It's almost perfectly to the tick. I believe that level is 25.28. Today's high is 25.29. It went one tick above it and is smacked back down. So any retest of that zone today, or to VWAP in general, if price gets back to VWAP or perhaps as high as this level, anything in that zone could be a selling opportunity for a push lower. So right now you're seeing a breakdown through the previous lows, making it resistance. inside day coiling up, we could be looking at a return back toward 22s or perhaps the low end of the range at 20.5 pretty soon. So keep an eye on that zone very, very closely today. Taking a look now at gold futures. This is gold. We talked about the potential for a rejection day yesterday, where we're seeing early signs of rejection above 1700. Remember, we had a little bit of a tail that was developing, something like this, and I mentioned watch 1700. Well, it failed at 1700 and got all the way back to the midpoint of the previous session's range. That's a huge, huge move. Today, we're seeing a more quiet, digestive day. 40% of ADR, just 21.7 points of range today. It's been averaging nearly 55 points, 53.80. And so again, if you're going to reject the top end of this key range, then you tend to go back toward the bottom of that key range. And at least toward the middle. So right now you're seeing price hold, kind of like you're seeing in crude oil, where it's holding below that key level. And if it breaks 2-day lows here, we have a shot to return to 1627.90 and as low as 1564.10. So those are going to be a couple of key levels here based off of how this is playing out. Overall, this market remains bullish, but you can definitely see it's building out this large range here and continues to digest after this recent rally in the higher time frame. All right, everyone, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.